Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. Happy to have you here. You look great. Thank you. I feel great. She's telling me I look great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start talking today about fulfilling life's desires, and so we'll address that. One of my desires in life was to get thin and more beautiful. So, obviously the law is working, right? So we have to work on the arrogant part now. So I'm talking about that too, about ego. So, anyway, I'm glad we're having a good time, and Joy is present in the room, right? Good. So we come together every Sunday morning here as a spiritual community. And we are a metaphysical New Thought spiritual community and welcome and celebrate all aspects of life. So if you're here for the first time, you may hear some words or some parts of language that you haven't heard before in traditional religion. Is there anyone here for the first time? Good. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. It's been known before that if Brenda Maddox is here, she might bring you up to the stage the minute I start talking, but be thankful today's not that day for you. So, she's in the back today. So we come together to have a lot of fun, and in the process of having fun, we also focus on the oneness of life that exists within us, which is a part of religion that you typically do not hear about the oneness of life, and that it exists equally among all of humanity, and meaning each one of us, and we both experience and express it through our thoughts. And by having a new thought around our divinity and our humanity, we get to participate in the co-creation of an experience that is greater in our life than it was before. The vision statement for this particular center is personal. I just went blank on that. Our vision statement is supporting individuals in finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. In this particular metaphysical community, we practice and participate in the teaching known as the science of mind, mostly, and in its modern incarnation, it's known as a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life. We welcome all aspects of life here today, whether you're here in person, in the room, or if you're watching online. Let's say hello to those that are watching online. Hi, live streamers, either live or later. And we welcome and celebrate your, she's like, where the hell are they waving to? There's a camera back there. So it's the omnipresent power of divine that just channels in on Sunday mornings and transports itself out through technology to the world when you're ready to receive it. But we celebrate and welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all ethnicities, all abilities, all aspects of life. And as our beloved founder, Dr. David Walker, used to say every Sunday morning, we welcome one and welcome all. So know that we not only welcome you, but we celebrate you. Every Sunday morning, we begin our gathering, our celebration service for the time that we're together. And for those of you that like to have that information, we're usually together till about 11:06. So I jokingly say that because a friend of mine who watches every Sunday morning, she wants to know when we're going to end. She's like, what time is it going to end, right? What time are you starting and when's it going to end? 11:07 today. So, but we begin our service every Sunday morning with a ritual. And the purpose of that by means of a ritual is twofold. One is it's through the familiarity and the repetition of it that it goes deeper and deeper into our subconscious if we're open to that. The other is through the familiarity of that it's something that is comforting to those of you that choose to let it be comforting. I'm sure there's some of you in the room that find it annoying, right? But we also celebrate all aspects of life. So if it's comforting to you, we're going to move into this ritual in a way to acknowledge the religions of the world. It's called the flames of faith. If it's annoying to you, I encourage you to either use that energy in a healthy way or sit in the annoyance till it uses you in a healthy way. And but no matter what, let's use this time to acknowledge the oneness of life through the flames of faith. Our guide through that process, our facilitator, is our practitioner of the day. Our practitioner today is Tim Barber, so we welcome him to the bema. And our illuminator of the day is Reverend Lenore Edney. So let's welcome Reverend Lenore, right? And Andy and Andy will take us through the song portion of it. So take a moment, take a deep breath in. Hear these religions in a new way and how they represent humanity.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
Today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. Reverend Lenore lights the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. The second candle is illuminated for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle, I think I said that wrong. The third candle is for Hinduism. The fourth candle is for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle is lit for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness, also known as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As Reverend Lenore lights the 10th candle, the healing candle, we ask you to take a moment and think of anyone you would like to silently put into the light of the healing flame to experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine.
I am love, I am love, I am peace,
I am peace.
in my heart,
In my heart,
I am free,
I am free.
I am spirit,
I am spirit.
I am soul,
I am soul.
all together,
All together,
we are whole,
we are one.
calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. And so it is.
please join me in a spiritual mind treatment. Let's begin by knowing that there is one spirit, one force, omniscient, omnipotent, everywhere present, all wise, all seeing, all powerful, that made and makes everything in its image, including us. And because that is true, we have that same creative power. And we use it this morning with these words: to acknowledge peace, to recognize love, to thrill to our perfect health, and to aspire and actively commit to all of our creative work. We recognize that this gift comes with an ask. We are called upon to express at the highest, to think the perfect thought, to speak the careful word, to do the generous act. We recognize that the responsibility and the gift come together, and we seize them with grace and gusto. We hold these words high, and we let them go, knowing their work is done. And together we say, so it is.
And thank you, Tim. Beautiful treatment. And I'm sure Tim did a beautiful meditation upstairs this morning. Yes, right? A talented man he is. Wonderful. So I'm very happy to have, as you always hear me say, my soul brother from another mother, Jami Lula, here with us today. And he's got some new music, I believe. The first song is a new song for us that is a part of some work that he's done with Gary Lynn Floyd, known as Floyd Lula. So if you are open and receive this in a way that it touches your soul and you'd like to carry that forward, know that there are CDs in the back that Jami's selling. So I welcome to the Bema someone that's very dear to my heart, to sing along with someone else who's dear to my heart, Andy Belling and Jami Lula.
So this is a brand new song that Floyd and I wrote. He came and spent a couple days. We do a lot better when we're in the same room. We've done some writing on Zoom. He lives up in Tahoe with Danny now, so we don't get to see each other. But I really love this song. I hope you enjoy it as well. It's called Reflecting Me. I made mistakes, it's true. The ignorance of youth. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna start it. I've made mistakes, it's true. The ignorance of youth. I dropped a bomb or two. I drank a bitter brew. I've seen what I've been told, 'cause I've been bought and sold. But I'm worth more than gold. This time I break the mold. A flower never fails to make me breathe. A river's always reaching for the sea. A mountain climbs as high as it can be. And everything's always reflecting me. And everything's always reflecting me. I cheated, lied, and stole, and nothing left me whole. Just a corrupted soul on a downward road. I lived unfaithfully, I wasted most of me. Now I'm surrendering to what I'm here to be. A flower never fails to make me breathe. A river's always reaching for the sea. A mountain climbs as high as it can be, and everything's always reflecting me. And everything's always reflecting me. A soul session takes a lifetime to reveal. When I wake up to the obvious, I feel I grow lighter when I let it all go. I'm one with all I know. A flower never fails to make me breathe. A river's always reaching for the sea. A mountain climbs as high as it can be, and everything's always reflecting me. A flower never fails to make me breathe. A river's always seeking out the sea. A mountain climbs as high as it can be, and everything's always reflecting me. And everything's always reflecting me. And everything's always reflecting me. And everything's always reflecting.
Jami, Lula. Oh, you've done beautiful. Amazing lyrics. Amazing lyrics. Just incredible. Thank you. Deepak Chopra says that he calls, in our teaching, we call the experience that shows up in our life a manifestation or a demonstration, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit this morning. But Deepak Chopra calls that a reflection. That's the term he uses for the experience that we have in life. And I think that's such an accurate definition. If you really break down the philosophy of what we teach and preach and practice here, is that that is indeed what it is. It is a reflection of that which is taking place in the subtotal of our mind. And as we know from what Ernest Holmes has told us before, that the mirror is the law that reflects life back to us. So if you follow that linear development, it makes sense then that what we're experiencing is a reflection at all time. And then the journey that we're on is what the river is doing, is we're seeking the sea meaning the home. We're seeking home not as a destination, but as that which already is. and then allowing it to rise up and be the dominance, if you will, in our psyche and our soul and our being. I believe that the most effective way that we can use that which we know in New Thought and metaphysics in a modern day way, and I speak to that as the modern day way because we're now living in that era that's going to soon be more than 100 years or more in this particular teaching of the science of mind, is that the concept of simply using this philosophy, this faith of way of life to manifest things in our life is not enough. That it is just one tool, but the primary tool in the evolution of who we are as spiritual beings is living from that place of step 1 and step 2 in spiritual mind treatment, which is that God is, that's the home we're talking about, and that I am that I am. I am that which it is, and as a result of that, then that which reflects my life, like you're my reflection at the moment and I'm your reflection at the moment, might scare you a little bit, but I'm your reflection, is right. But that is what's I'm reflecting to you and you're reflecting to me, is my conscious engagement of my understanding and acceptance of the divinity that exists. It's not something that I'm trying to put into my mind to say, yes, I know that I am. It's letting that which I know that I am, reveal itself to me and through me, which is then I see it as my reflection, which is you, which then I get to choose and decide is what I'm seeing divine. And then as I know that to be divine, then indeed that helps me participate in the evolution or the shift or the raising of my consciousness. And then the law of life must bring back to me a reflection of that which it is. That's the home that we're talking about, or he's talking about in this particular song. I've decided that each month moving forward, at least through this year, I'm going to claim for us a theme for the month. And so that way the musicians aren't scrambling every week to come up with songs that reflect it. And I don't just kind of speak off the fly. Not that I'm not good at that and not that I'm not comfortable with that, but really to start developing for each of us over a month an idea, one particular idea, and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I started that in July. I just didn't tell you that. So in July, our theme was love, freedom, and beliefs. So we looked at what is love and how do we live from a place of freedom. We kicked off July 4th. And then what are our beliefs around that? Because in this philosophy and other metaphysical teachings, we believe that we experience our beliefs in form. And so moving into, and I told you we would do this last week, moving into the month of August, I want to focus on desire. Desire being the theme for the month, and not just the concept of desire, but letting desire in and of itself be the platform or the foundation of us looking at fulfilling our desires. Now, oftentimes, certainly depending on where you're at in the evolution of your own consciousness, the concept of fulfilling your desire could be perceived as an egoic activity, right? You guys know what I mean by that? That the ego is driving the train to have your desires become manifest or form. And is that right or wrong? It's not either. It's important for us to know that it's a natural progression, that once there is a clear understanding of how the universe works and our role in it, is that then we are called to have our desires fulfilled. However, if we are trying to manipulate or coerce that, is when the ego gets involved, and it doesn't necessarily make it wrong from a human perspective, but it certainly is going to bring forth a reflection, if you will, that's not reflective of its innateness, its own desire. So it's natural for us to focus on our divinity and this evolution of looking at desires as the necessity of them being fulfilled in our life, and knowing that it's not about doing it from arrogance or an ego perspective, but doing it from the perspective of tapping into our finding ourselves awakened on the journey of being spiritual beings, and in so doing we become empowered personally as human beings. In other words, the key to the process of having our desires fulfilled is focusing on our conscious evolution. The evolution of our consciousness. Well, what does that mean? That means that we are evolving into a higher idea of who we are as divine beings consciously, and as a result of that, that is expanding our consciousness, and in so doing, that which is reflected in form is a result of that activity. And that can only happen when we get clear on what our desires are. That can only happen when we get clear on our desires. This week I was talking to a soul sister of mine about some real estate stuff, and I said to her, so if we're going to narrow it down to these neighborhoods, are you sure that you're clear on this? And in big letters she responded to me, Crystal, ... brother. Right? And I would just, first off, I was like, whoa, that's intense. And then I thought, how cool that this particular person is that clear that these are the parameters. It's not about controlling the universe. It's that these are my requirements, if you will. This is the baseline for what I want to experience in my life. I'm going to talk to you in a moment about a moment in my life when there was a turn in understanding how important it is for us to be clear on what it is we desire to experience in life. So let's look at the concept of desire. So what is a desire? Well, here's how it's defined traditionally. As a noun, it's defined as a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. A desire to work in the dirt with your bare hands, if you will. That's it from a noun perspective. Synonym